Approaches the one-year anniversary of going online, the distances some students are traveling to get the COVID-19 vaccine.
Nurse for executive president of the Student Government Association are out. This year, those running for the top spot are Elon Jr.'s Jack Corby and Daniel DeRosiak. The SGA executive candidates will all speak publicly during a candidate forum this Wednesday evening. Current SGA Executive Vice President Jonathan Stetler says the candidates will face a challenge as they campaign in a completely virtual setting.
I definitely think it's going to be a lot harder not to have the face-to-face engagement. I really think that's how my campaign thrived last year, so it's going to be hard not to be able to have that face-to-face engagement. I know.
In addition to voting for class and executive office positions, students will also vote on an SGA constitutional referendum. Voting opens Thursday, March 18th and continues through Friday, March 19th.
New guidelines are emerging today for people that are fully vaccinated against COVID-19. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention say indoor small gatherings of people that are fully vaccinated are allowed. The CDC says those people should still wear a mask in public. These recommendations come after North Carolina begins to vaccinate frontline essential workers. And starting today, the Alamance County Health Department will be vaccinating all essential employees in Group 3, which includes student workers. Elon Senior Caleb Axworthy, who works for Campus Recreation and Wellness, drove nearly 2 hours to get his vaccine at a Fayetteville Walgreens. He says it was the closest location he could find when booking his appointment for last Friday.
I mean, I wanted to get vaccinated as soon as possible, and it was only like an hour 45 there, hour 45 back, which isn't great, but I had nothing else going on, so it was worth it, I'd say.
Axworthy says he was a little tired the day after receiving his vaccine, but now feels great.
If you're still struggling to book a vaccine appointment, it might get easier soon. A mass vaccination center run by the state and supported by the federal government is opening Wednesday in Greensboro at the Four Seasons Town Center, a half hour from campus. North Carolina will receive an additional 168,000 vaccine doses for the vaccination center. North Carolina Emergency Management spokesperson Keith Acree says additional satellite locations will also be set up in surrounding counties to help vaccinate all communities.
Is really to get vaccine out into some of the underserved communities where people live that might be hesitant to get a vaccine. If they can get a vaccine at a clinic that's just down the street for them, or maybe like at their church or at an organization they trust, then I think they're much more likely to go get it.
Between the main vaccination site and satellite locations across the triad, Acree says they hope to administer 3,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine a day, at least for the next 6 weeks. To book an appointment, visit gsomassvax.org.
North Carolina is continuing to administer the single-dose Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine, but some Catholics are questioning the ethics of taking the vaccine due to the reliance on cell lines from aborted fetuses. Associate Chaplain for Catholic Life at Elon University, Father Peter Tremblay, and the Vatican both say the vaccine is, quote, morally acceptable because the proximity to the aborted fetus is now 40 years removed.
Ideally, we wish that this was not the case because we think abortion is the destruction of an innocent human life. But because of the gravity of the situation, because of the essential necessity for health and well-being, and the fact that so many people are dying and a vaccine can help.
Father Tremblay says the swirling misinformation on the subject has prompted questions even from his own family.
I get frustrated with this because even my mother texted me the other day, afraid, like, oh my gosh, I've heard we can't get this vaccine. There is so much misinformation.
Father Peter says while the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines are preferred, he still encourages Catholics to get the Johnson & Johnson vaccine if that's their only option.
As more people continue to get vaccinated, capacity limits in the town of Elon remain the same. Restaurants in town haven't been allowed to serve food indoors at full capacity since last year. If enough staff and the general population get vaccinated, the town of Elon says they will relax capacity limits inside local businesses. Manager of the Route and Tangent and Elon Board of Alderman Quinn Ray says the eligibility to get staff vaccinated is a relief.
I never fathomed I would be shut down for almost a year with nobody dining inside the restaurants. So, you know, knowing that this is coming to an end. That weight of like unknowing and what we can do definitely helps.
If you're a student worker on campus or work in a restaurant off campus, here's where you can get vaccinated. You can call those numbers on your screen to schedule an appointment. And for more information, go to elonnewsnetwork.com.
The Elon men's basketball team is playing right now. Here is our latest. The team is 2 games away from being in the March Madness tournament. You can see an update from our sports reporters right there. They're currently playing in a semifinal game against the Hofstra Pride, and we'll make sure to keep you updated tonight. And stay tuned for sports later on in our show tonight to see how the team got this far.
And coming up, more people vaccinated might mean more job openings for Elon students. We'll tell you what the Student Professional Development Center at Elon is saying about the job market.
There's a new program at Elon that's opening simulation rooms that look like a hospital. We'll dive deeper with this new program just after this.
I rescued Toast from a shelter in 2011. I love Toast because she's a lazy diva. Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. She's so loving. Toast makes me laugh. When I walked into the shelter, I knew right then that she was special.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills.
The smarts?
Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me? Heart doesn't see race. Love is love.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Incoming Elon University Police Chief Joe Lemire is preparing to make the move to Elon before his March 29th start date. This week is his last week working at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Lemire says he comes to Elon with an open mind and looks forward to learning more about the campus community.
Really going to be a little bit about listening and talking to her to learn as much as I can about Elon so I can apply my input and my experiences to how do we make campus successful? How do we make the police department successful, and how do we get us to that collaboration point that I like to be at?
With strains between marginalized communities and police departments across the country, Lemire says he hopes to be proactive in establishing meaningful relationships.
But I think what police departments and police chiefs have to do is work on that on the front end. I think what police departments run into sometimes is you manage by crisis. So something happens on campus and then you decide that you're going to go meet with a particular group.
Lemire will be the first person to hold the position permanently since Dennis Franks left the police department over a year ago.
Planning is underway for a department at Elon that's launching in the fall. Our Naomi Washington has more on the nursing program's first steps.
Something new will be happening at Elon after this academic year. A new department is opening its doors, which is welcoming nursing students for the first time. Dr. Tiffany Morris is leading the Department of Nursing under the Gerald Francis School of Health Sciences. She started her job this month. According to a 2020 study by the North Carolina News, the state is slow to shrink inequalities in healthcare. That's a problem Morris says she wants to tackle head on.
We're going to be the trendsetters when it comes to reducing health disparities and increasing health equity among those communities.
The accredited program is competing with over 20 other ones in the state. According to Morris, around 100 students are already planning on pursuing a nursing degree when the program launches this fall.
So if anybody's worried about coming to a brand new program, I would absolutely reframe them to say, we are building the nurses of the future.
Dean Becky Nadusky is overseeing the addition of the new program. She says these newly constructed simulation suites will be giving students real-world experience.
But to be a truly effective healthcare team member, you have to not only know what you do, but also what the other professions do so that you can appropriately work together as a team.
For Dr. Morris, she says this first incoming class will always be special to her.
You're talking about making history, that's history making. It will always be, they were the first, and no one can change that.
Naomi Washington, Elon Local News.
To hear the perspective of an incoming freshman who's planning to major in nursing, check out our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
Today, around the world, people are celebrating International Women's Day. And here at Elon, the Economics Department is hosting the Elon Women in Economics panel. The virtual event starts at 7 p.m. tonight and is specifically planned for the holiday. Elon Jr. and moderator of the event, Malia Takei, says the panel will discuss how women can pursue a career in economics when facing gender barriers.
I know that men don't often face that same kind of scrutiny when they're considering a career opportunity. And so I think the panel is really important just to cement that even as a woman who may have a family and may marry one day, I have the same career opportunities as a man.
Panelists include Elon professor Katie Roos and 4 Elon alumni.
After a slow fall semester, the director of the Student Professional Development Center, Thomas Brinkley, says his office is finally seeing more students land jobs. Now, as vaccines are becoming more readily available and graduation approaches, Brinkley is calling on Elon students to keep pushing.
Nothing will make it easier for us, and we have to work through this. Certainly, the vaccinations will help. It'll help open up the economy. It'll get people back in the workplace. And when there are people back in the workplace, I think you'll see hiring pick back up again.
Brinkley also says student engagement on the Elon Job Network is lagging. He says the responsibility is on the student to think outside the box and use the resources available.
They're getting a little more creative, and it's because they have to, unless they're just going to stay out on the job market for a longer period of time. And we don't want to see that, and neither do the parents want to see that either. Obviously, they want you to land something and not move home and be on the couch for 6 months.
To set up an appointment to review your resume and for other job-related resources, Brinkley recommends students to check out the Elon Job Network online.
Stay tuned to hear why the weather will put you in a good mood this week.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
It's a beautiful day out here, sunny today with light breezes, giving way to clouds in the afternoon. We could see some light precipitation to moderate precipitation later on, followed by powerful storm-like conditions. 90 miles per hour winds are expected. Authorities are asking everyone, stay indoors. Come on, that's it, let's go.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes? B, console her?
Don't worry, sweetie. This is gonna happen a lot.
Or C, find her a new boyfriend?
Nice single boys. That was weird.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be blood. Next Thursday?
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day. I have no time for this. So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
Elon's Interfraternity Council is beginning its fully virtual recruitment process today. Over the last couple months, student involvement has worked with each fraternity organization to develop plans aligning with the Healthy Elon commitment. All undergraduate male students who have obtained at least a 2.8 GPA are eligible to participate. For more information on this week's events, go to elonnewsnetwork.com.
Well, it's not quite fully spring weather yet, but Maeve, I see some sun on the horizon. Our Hope Swear is live on Citron Plaza right now. Hope, how are things looking for this week?
Thanks, Brian and Maeve. The temperatures are warmer than usual out here tonight on Citron Plaza, and lucky for us, the warm weather is here to stay. Tomorrow, we'll kickstart our warm week with a high of 72. Wednesday and Thursday's highs of 72 and 73 will prepare us for a beautiful weekend ahead. On Friday, expect to see sunny skies, but the temperature will climb to a high of 75. On Saturday, cloudy skies will be around with a high of 72. Get outside, soak up the spring weather, and have a great week, Elon. Back to you guys in the studio.
I cannot wait for those 70s. Hope Swear live on Citron Plaza. Thank you.
Our Anne-Marie Bonner is following that basketball game that we told you about earlier. Anne-Marie, what's the update and what else are we looking at with Phoenix Sports this week?
All eyes are on men's basketball right now. They are currently losing 7-11 to Hofstra. The team is 2 games away from the NCAA tournament. This comes after a thrilling upset against #1 seed James Madison yesterday. The Phoenix pulled ahead in the last 2 minutes of the game, knocking off the Dukes 72-71. If they pull out another win tonight, they'll play in the championship game tomorrow. Stay with us for a live update on the game later in the show. And now to an Elon Jr. pushing for better diversity initiatives. I dive into a soccer player's commitment to making sure inclusivity is a priority.
Really seeing a lot of people that do look like me is kind of like disheartening a little.
Dominguez says talking about the racial climate on Elon's campus needs to continue. Not only is it important for her as a student, but also as a female and biracial athlete.
Even though we feel comfortable amongst ourselves in athletics, there is a disconnect, and it does feel weird that, like, you know, most of my Black friends are athletes.
Dominguez is on a committee to promote diversity in athletics and assisted in creating an anonymous survey to gauge student athlete experiences. The survey included questions like, do you feel singled out as a female athlete? And do you feel comfortable in your locker room? Dominguez says talking with other athletes on the committee has given her more insight.
I always knew I had allies in my teammates, but now even there's a kind of a bigger sense of camaraderie amongst all of athletics, because we all kind of feel like we can talk to each other about it now.
She's also educating her peers about microaggressions. These are phrases that Dominguez says often are said without thinking at Elon.
It just seems that there's a lack of knowledge and there's just a little bit of ignorance that people don't really ever get worked out of them unless somebody tells them. And nobody's doing the telling at the moment.
Through the process of surveying, she also is finding her voice.
Give me a little bit more confidence to kind of say, hey, that bothered me. I'm going to tell you why that bothered me. And it's kind of helped fix a lot of the behaviors of people around me.
Anne-Marie Bonner, Elon Local News. The results of Elon Athletics survey will be out this week. Be sure to visit Elon News Network for more on that. Now to Women's History Month, where one group's commitment to celebrate women in the sports industry is empowering students. The program is called Women Influencers in Sports, or WINS for short. It's known in the sport management program at Elon to be a networking resource. Sophomore and assistant director of the program, Olivia Laval, says it's especially important this month to encourage females to establish themselves in the sports world.
At times, it's really hard to even find females that work in like the jobs that you want to work in. And so at WINS, we really try to just empower women and teach them that, like they can work in sports and they can do whatever they put their mind to.
If you're interested in joining WINS, you can email advisor Shayna Dabbs at sdabbs2@elon.edu. And this week we have a lot to look forward to in other sports playing at home. Here's just a few of many home games happening this week. Softball will play Wednesday at 4:30 versus UNCG. Women's lacrosse will have their second home game on Wednesday also, starting at 5 p.m. Elon football will kick off at 1 on Saturday against the Richmond Spiders. That's all we have in the sports world. Brian and Maeve.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. And there's a group working to redesign Elon's bias response system, and they're holding listening sessions this week. Students, faculty, and staff are asked to share their experiences and give feedback on the current system. The bias response system is a way for the Elon community to submit incidents of discrimination or harassment. Director of Student Conduct and co-chair of the group, Jenny Spangenberg, says the student perspective will play an important role in redesigning the system.
So I hope that we will get to hear from what their experiences are, and I think that will better inform what the needs are and see what our community is looking at, and just a better understanding of what would be beneficial when we're looking at a bias response.
This group has been working to update the bias response system since last summer. Throughout the fall semester, the group researched bias reporting systems at other schools.
And we conducted an analysis of where are the strengths that we see in our current system, where are some gaps and areas that we think we could improve in. And so we'll utilize all of that to look at the opportunities and areas where we can really put out those recommendations.
Following the listening sessions, the working group will present their preliminary findings to Vice President for Student Life, John Dooley, and Vice President for Inclusive Excellence, Randy Williams, on April 15th. And after the break, we'll tell you the story behind a trending mask that may have caught your eye on Elon's campus.
Wake the sun. Tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun. Wake the sun, wake the sun, wake the sun.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Three seniors are working to remind the Elon community of the value of being together, almost a year into the coronavirus pandemic. Stephen Hawthorne, Andrew Vayer, and Sean Hess are selling masks and clothing as a part of their company, Good to See You. Hess says he and his friends were inspired to create the company when the pandemic began, and they realized such a simple phrase could hold so much meaning.
We took that phrase that we've been saying for 4 years of college to each other for granted until this pandemic occurred, and the people that we saw every day we hadn't seen in months, and even an entire semester's worth of time.
Though the trio says they hope the pandemic will end soon and students can stop wearing masks, the message of the company will remain the same no matter what they sell.
And just good to see you right on the face of a mask really resonated with a lot of people, and it was a way of kind of greeting strangers through a passing by without actually having to say it.
The company has now sold more than 600 masks. And Brian, I had no idea that those were sold by students. And they say that they continue to hope to sell shirts, hats after masks are no longer required. The Good to See You spring collection is set to launch March 20th.
Yeah, Maeve, I didn't really know about it either. I've seen them over at the Oak House before. But it's a great message because you can't really smile under your mask, right? But when you see Good to See You, you know that there might be a smile under there.
Also, I really resonated with what they said about you get used to seeing so many people, the same people every day, and then all of a sudden you never got. And I don't think about that a lot. So it's good to look back and reflect on all of that.
Yeah, for sure. And you may have been one of the millions that tuned in Sunday night to watch Oprah Winfrey interview Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and Prince Harry. Nielsen reports that an average of 17.1 million people watched that interview with the former active royals. That's nearly triple the rating CBS saw primetime Sunday the week before. During the interview, Meghan and Harry explained why they stepped back from official royal life. And Maeve, were you one of the ones who watched?
Unfortunately, I tutor from 7 to 9 and then I had to walk home. So no, I actually didn't watch, but tonight, that might have to be an activity of mine tonight. Everyone's been talking about it.
I saw a bit of it, but maybe I'll go back and rewatch it.
I was going to say, any impressions, any exciting things?
It was definitely shocking, I think, for a lot of people. It takes a lot of courage to speak out like that, but we'll have to check it out, I guess.
And that's all the news we have for you tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.
Stay updated with all of our coverage on our social media at Elon News Network and our website, elonnewsnetwork.com.
Have a great week, Elon.